Alright guys, what's up? It's the Ascension of Babylon. What we do here is we talk about the occult, we talk about spiritual self-development, we talk about the healing process. If that's your thing and you haven't subscribed, you already know what to do. Hit that like button and let's get right into it. So I've had many experiences interacting with and even channeling extraterrestrial beings into my body. So what I'm going to be speaking about in this video is what it's like to channel an extraterrestrial being. What that can feel like in the body and what that process can look like, and how that can manifest into our physical reality as well. So I started channeling extraterrestrial beings well before I knew I was channeling extraterrestrial beings, and I started to do this while I was incarcerated. And I've done this at different periods of time being locked up, but I really doubled down on my occult practices the last time that I was incarcerated, when I did 4 years, and I actually decided to completely change my life when I came home. And it was actually channeling and anchoring a lot of these extraterrestrial energies into my body that really sparked the evolutionary momentum for me to take a hard look at myself and realize, wow, I don't want to be a gangster no more, man. This shit's fucking played out. This shit's bullshit. Why am I even doing this? And trust me, I was the type of person that if you knew me back then, you would have thought that I would never change. You would have put any amount of money on me not changing. You would have probably bet your house on it, or $1 million if you had it. I was that type of person. I was a menace. I was a real violent person, and I was stuck in a lot of negative cycles, and I built a reputation off of doing that. So people that knew me, they could probably never comprehend who I am today, because it's so different from who I used to be. So working with these entities actually completely changed my life. And when I was locked up, the way that I used to contact them was I used to perform these different occult rituals inside of my cell. And what I would do is I would do something called invocation, to where I was pulling that current of energy into my physical body. So I had the understanding that I was merging this intelligence with myself on a mind, body, and even spirit, soul level. And I wasn't very psychically receptive at the time, to where I was able to do the things that I'm able to do now, like communicate with these entities directly and see them much more when they do appear in that way. And even, in my physical reality, I have the discernment and the receptiveness to kind of see their psychic footprint in the form of numbers and signs, and sometimes they even come through people in really profound ways. They will literally influence the subconscious of people around me, and those people will come into my lives with different messages that I need to hear at the time. I mean, this has happened in ways that are absolutely, I would say, are supernatural to the average person's understanding. To me, it's natural. To the average person, it would be absolutely supernatural, and it might even scare the shit out of them, depending on the person. So, I would call these currents of energy into my body, and there was like a merging that would take place, and over time I got receptive enough to be able to feel my consciousness merging with theirs. It's kind of like, two energies slowly merging inside of my body. So now when I do this, I'll get telepathic communications, like in the form of different images and, different messages that come into my mind. And I'll even do things like automatic writing. So I'll do an invocation when I feel I've really channeled that being into my physical body. I'll just write, and I'm not trying to control it. I just let my hand move. It's a very natural process that I'm doing my best not to alter too much, and I'm doing my best not to think about or control. So, when we're channeling extraterrestrials, there's a union going on. We are sharing an energetic space within self. Two forces are meeting, and we are becoming one force in the moment that channeling is taking place. And then in those different moments, we can, receive certain messages. Now, when I was incarcerated, and of course leading all the way up until now, I've had some very interesting dreaming experiences, and we can even say astral experiences. So I remember one time I was doing a ritual with an entity known as Horon inside of my cell. Horon is an ancient Canaanite god of magic and the desert, and is associated with the underworld, and is also said to have only been called in dire circumstances. There were people that feared this energy, and I can certainly attest to the fact that Horon's a very dense kind of energy. So I remember one night I did a ritual. I put like blood on a sigil, and I went to bed. And I woke up staring, so I'm on the bottom bunk, and I woke up staring at like the top bunk, which is like the top of my bed, and I was like half in the physical plane, but half in the astral, if that makes sense. I was in a very lucid state. I was having a sleep paralysis experience to where it felt like I couldn't breathe and I couldn't move. And there was a bloody, dripping kind of face coming down from the bunk. Now, there's another experience I remember having when I was incarcerated with Lilith, and I didn't really fully comprehend this at the time, but now I understand the communication. So I did this ritual with Lilith. I went to bed, and Lilith showed up in my dream on a spaceship. She was like sticking out of the top of a spaceship. There we go. And she was like also taking like a vampire type of form. She was a vampire, but on a spaceship. And now I understand that the communication is that a lot of these forces that I was interacting with are extraterrestrial, interdimensional collectives of energy that we have interacted with over time through both worship and mythology. So worship and mythology is how we have kind of understood these forces, but they're absolutely extraterrestrial beings. So, when I got out of prison, I started having more and more of these kinds of experiences. I remember one time I was sleeping on the couch in there, and I had this dream. I was in this really misty space, and I was awake enough in the dream to like understand what was going on. This wasn't just a dream is what I'm telling you. And there were these tall humanoid alien figures inside of that dream. And there's times where me and the mother of my child have caught glimpses of beings in my home that look very similar to what I saw in the dreaming plane. Now, there's another experience that I had where I had this dream and I'm on like this alien spaceship and I have an invisibility cloak and I'm trying to use it to sneak around. so the aliens don't catch me snooping around. And I guess they caught me, and I remember at the end of the dream, it felt like they were tattooing my back or drilling something into my back, into my spine. And I remember them asking me, and I still don't fully understand this, but they asked me, what is my daughter going to think about the Baphomet tattoo on my back? I remember in a dream kind of telling them to fuck off or something like that. When I woke up from that dream, I still felt like the vibration sensation of whatever they were drilling into my back or into my spine. I felt it for a couple of seconds inside of my body. And I have other experiences that I could certainly explain, but they're just not coming to mind right now. I mean, to be honest, I joke with people and I tell them my life is like the X-Files, and if a UFO pulled up in my front lawn, I don't think I would be very surprised. Like, it would be really cool, but I wouldn't be completely shocked because I have experiences that I would say a lot of people don't necessarily have to that degree. You know, I have spirits and entities that manifest sometimes in such tangible ways that I've been able to get photos and videos of these experiences, never mind the experiences that I haven't been able to record that I myself know, are very real kinds of experiences. So going back to channeling, when you're channeling an extraterrestrial being, what you're doing is you're merging your energy with their energy, and then, you're either having telepathic communication, you're, writing things down through the form of automatic writing. I mean, you can draw. If you're very talented at drawing, you might, do some type of, I guess we can call it automatic drawing. You can use tarot, you can use pendulum, you can use a Ouija board. I mean, there's so many different forms of divination that you can use. I like telepathic communication to where I'm getting like a long dialogue that I'm writing down. But, I'll also combine that with tarot sometimes and other forms of divination to get a more accurate picture of what's actually being communicated and to validate what is actually coming through. Now, extraterrestrial beings will influence your physical life. So there will be experiences that manifest that will show you the energetic signature of that being. So an example I could give you is one time after working with Archangel Michael pretty consistently, I was speaking to my mom about Archangel Michael, and I was just telling her about Michael. Now, she didn't tell anyone else what I told her, and her friends certainly probably wouldn't be impressed about her talking about stuff like that. I mean, they're not into that. She's like a devoted Catholic, and a lot of her friends are, a bit judgmental and very religious, so it's not something that she's gonna necessarily speak to about with her friends. But there was this one guy, and she didn't tell anything to him, and out of nowhere, he's like, hey, I just got this Archangel Michael tattoo, and sent her a picture of it, and he's never done anything like that before. So that was the energy that I was calling into my body and into my life, affecting the subconscious of people that are linked to me. So of course my mom is linked to me, and then there's an energetic cord, we can say, that connects her to her friend, and that connects her friend to me for that manifestation of that energy to actually come through. So you will see the psychic footprint of these different entities and energies showing up in your life in the form of symbolism, signs, numbers, people that come into your life in sometimes really surprising ways, to where there's no doubt that it's like this subconsciously influenced communication coming through that person from the entity or the intelligence that you were just connecting with. And this stuff can be really amazing. So I think that's what I wanted to say in this video. Thank you for staying to the end. I'm going to be making way more videos like this, but I just wanted to get this one out the way. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you in the next video.